So for a closer look at what's happening in Ukraine, let's bring in Julia Kochetova. She's a photographer documenting the Russian invasion in Kyiv. Thank you so much for joining us. I've been looking at your Instagram feed, and each photo tells such a vast story. Before I get to your pictures, though, I want to talk about what things are like where you are right now. What is Kyiv like? As I understand it, Russian troops are slowly sort of circling the outside of the city.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm reporting from Kyiv. That's my city, actually. I'm based here. The news getting worse and worse. We have the official statement made by the advisor of the Minister of the Interior, by Vadim Denisenko, saying that in a couple of days, the main battle of this war gonna happen. The main battle means the battle for Kyiv. So. Also, I've got the news that the state armed forces of Ukraine just smashed Russian troops between Sumy and Kharkiv. They were coming to get closer to the capital as well. The whole mood is pretty depressing, I should say, because my city is absolutely empty. There are still shops and drugstores which are still operating, but mostly people who are staying here, they are either involved in defending groups or they volunteering, but the mostly part of local citizens, they just gone because it's pretty dangerous. And now you're showing the pictures which I've took in the nearest district where I'm staying. It's on Lobanovskogo. It was a civilian building which was just attacked a couple of days ago. And nobody predict that because there is no military base nearby. The only nearest point was the airport. That was the idea why this civilian building was attacked. But still, that's the latest news from Kyiv, what I could share with you.
You know, as a photographer, right, part of what you do is you capture sort of a sliver of a moment in time, preserve it forever, but it's a moment that tells a bigger story. I'm wondering from you, because all of your pictures are really amazing, but from you, what photos really stand out? Do you think tell people around the world what's actually happening?
I'm not sure that you've got it in the folder or not. When I was filming their abandoned, the damaged building on Lobanovskogo, I've seen the piano, which was totally destroyed. Just electric piano lying down on the ash and different parts of the building. And I realized that actually that's something what could describe war in general, because that the moment when music stops, that the moment when everything is stopped and you just can't continue your normal life, all your basic settings, they're just and you just should stay and try to find yourself in this new reality.
Yeah, Julia, you know, it's not just your photos. I think when I was looking at your whole sort of Instagram grid, it's 12 sets of war. And then literally right before that, it's normal life. And I think it really sort of lets you know how rapidly things changed. And the other thing that struck me was that you're taking photos of regular people. These are not members of the military. These are not politicians. What have you learned about your fellow citizens, your fellow Ukrainians, your neighbors in Kyiv from documenting them under these conditions?
I should say that now they are on the edge, and as a photographer, as a filmmaker, I always was interested in the people in transition, but I've never expected that this transition gonna happen in my city. And when they are on this age, all feelings, they are so naked, all feelings, all fears, all hopes, they're so obvious, so that's pretty easy to get with the camera, but still it's pretty fragile to get closer and closer to the usually people in need or people who are suffering. And that's something what I always trying to bat inside myself, because there is this classical journalism dilemma. Either you should film or support, what's gonna do. And like in my experience, I've been covering war since 2014. I've been covering the annexation and Maidan revolution and clashes which were happening in Kyiv, but I've never been covering that kind of cruel Russian aggression happening in my town. And I've never been covering people who should leave their home, who should be afraid of being killed while they are just staying at home in the center of Europe. That's something what like I'm mostly faced with, and I'm mostly trying to manage inside.
Julia, right before we let you go, the other thing that I noticed is that you switched from writing in Ukrainian, I think, to writing in English. So clearly you want the world to understand what the stories that you're trying to tell. So I ask you before I let you go, what is the message that you want the rest of the world to hear?
I want to say that actually we now in the most cruel and aggressive war happening in the center of Europe, started by Russia in 2014. And that's all was leading by that silence, which was made by the whole world. We got this point when my city is bombing, because previous 8 years, this hybrid and proxy war was just kindly accepted by a lot of countries. Like, I'm sorry to say, but that we were saying that we're fighting against Russians for the last 8 years. Now they're bombing the whole country, but they've got to this point because of the silence, which was. So the main message which I've got is just like that silence always kills. And that's something the whole world should learn. I'm terribly sorry that you've got this lesson because of my country involved in the war, but maybe we as the humanity should learn it and never ever repeat that.
Let's pray that that's the case. Julia, please stay safe. Do not put yourself at risk unnecessarily. No photo is worth it. We want to be able to continue talking to you after this, but thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thanks for inviting.
All right. If you want to check out Julia's photos, head on over to her Instagram. It's at SEAMEER.